Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I will talk to you about the friendship bracelet borders. As you can see here, if you have a friendship bracelet, you can very easily add a border to your bracelet, whereas the inner part of your bracelet will have the decoration of your choice. And in this video I will show you how simple it is to create those bracelet borders. So basically, if you want to add a border to a bracelet, the main rule is to keep those two cords on the sides and never bring them on the inside of your bracelet, and you do that by creating forward and backward knots. And I will show you step by step how you can create such bracelets and how you can add to your bracelets those borders. In this lesson I will show you how to create a bordered bracelet. I will use these cords in order to create a chevron bracelet, and I will use one of the colors to create the border. So the length of these cords is about 70 centimeters, and I have used the double length so that I can create a loop here so that I can close my bracelet. In order to make the loop, I will make an overhand knot like this. And so I have created the closure of my bracelet. Now I will grab the bracelet, the cords of the bracelet, and I will decide what colors will be the border. So I will choose the brown cords to form the border, whereas the other colors will form the intermediate colors of my bracelet. So I will put the light brown colors, the black and the white in the middle. So as you can see here, the colors on the left and the colors on the right are in the mirror. For my traditional chevron bracelet, I will use the forward knot for the colors, for the cords on the left, and a backward knot for the cords on the right. So because we want to create a chevron bracelet, we shall respect this rule. So I will make forward knots here and backward knots here. The only difference is that if we want to make a border, we also need two cords that will not move along the cords towards the middle while we are making the knots. These cords will always stay on the sides so that they form the border. To do so, we will have to do a forward knot and a backward knot. Actually, these are half knots, not full knots. A full knot is two forward knots, like the knots that we shall make on the other cords of the chevron. But for this cord, we shall make a forward half knot and a backward half knot. With the forward half knot, the cord will go forward. With the backward half knot, the cord will go back to its outside place. This will be the rule for the left cord. The rule for the right cord will be one backward knot that will bring the cord forward, backward towards the center, and one forward knot that will bring the cord back to its place on the outside. So let's begin. I will take the first cord. I will take the first cord and create a forward knot. So I will create the shape of the number 4 like this. I will grab from under my light brown cord the dark brown cord like this. I take the cord out through my loop and I create the first forward knot, half knot. Now I will make a backward knot, a 4 in the mirror like this, and from under the light brown cord I will take the dark brown cord, I take it out through the loop and I make the knot. And this way my brown cord will remain on the outside and create the border. Now the next step is to make the chevron. So I will make forward knots on the left side of my cords. So 1 and 2 forward knot, half knots, that makes a forward knot. My brown, light brown cord has moved to the right. Again I will make 2 forward knots on the white cord, 1 and a second. And now I will do the same steps but in the mirror on this side. So I will make a backward knot here, 1, and a forward knot to bring the cord back to its outside place so that it remains as border. And with the light brown cord I will create the other part of the chevron. I will make 1 backward knot, half knot, another backward half knot, one backward half knot, and a second backward half knot. And now to close the brown chevron I will make 1 knot and 2 knots. And I have closed the chevron. So let's see the chevron now. So we have now the first brown chevron and the brown borders, the dark brown borders. Now let's continue with the next color. The next color will be black. I will begin by making the border. So 1 forward knot, 1 backward knot, and now the forward knots, 1, and 2, and here 1 and 2, I brought the black cord into the middle of my bracelet. Now I will take the brown cord and make the backward knot, and the forward knot, And now I'll create the backward knots using the black cord. So 1, and 2 backward knots on the white cord, and on the light brown cord again 1 backward knot, and the second backward knot. And now I have the 2 black cords in the middle, and I'll make 1 knot and a second. And now I have created 2 chevrons, the light brown and the black chevron. Now let's use the white color to create a third chevron. So we begin with a border, so 1 knot, forward knot, and 1 backward knot. Again, my cord remains on the outside, the brown cord remains on the outside, and I start creating the white chevron with the white cord. So I make 1 knot, forward half knot, the second forward half knot, the same on the black cord, 1 forward knot, the second forward knot, then I will use the brown cord to make 1 backward knot and 1 forward knot, so I created the border, and now let's create the backward knots with the white cord. So 1 backward knot, the second backward knot, and now again 1 backward knot and the second backward knot. Now I have the 2 white cords. I'll make 1 knot and the second knot. And now we have, let's see from a closer distance, we have created the light brown chevron, the black chevron, and the white chevron, whereas our border is brown. And now let's continue making those chevrons and as well as the brown border, and I will continue making those chevrons until I obtain the desired length of my bracelet, and after that I will show you how to close the bracelet. And now that I have reached the end of my braiding, I will create the closure. So in order to create the closure, I will create some cords here at the end, and I will simply take these cords and start braiding them. always also braid the cords on this other side. And now I will create a knot at the end of the braiding here, an overhand knot. I'll also take this other cord and make the overhand knot at about the same length. So I have created the knots at the same length, and now I will take the scissors and cut like this. So I have created the cords, and now let's remove the clamp and see what our bracelet looks like. So this is the finished chevron bracelet with borders. So as you can see, in order to create the border, you only have to keep the two brown cords on the sides by using the forward and backward knots, and whereas the other inner cords are braided according to the braiding rules for the chevron bracelets. And let's close the bracelet. So I will put my cords through the loop here, and I will make a knot like this. So I can even make two knots to make sure that it doesn't open. And my bracelet is ready. And this is what the bordered chevron bracelet looks like. So as you can see, making a border on a bracelet is a very simple thing. You only have to learn the basic rule, that of making forward and backward knots on the border cords so that they always remain on the edge of your bracelet. In this lesson, I will show you how to create a bordered candy stripe bracelet. This is how I will explain to you how to create the border for a bracelet. And the length of the cords that you see here, from this point to this point, is 140 centimeters. That is because the length of the cords for one bracelet should be about 70 centimeters. So I chose the double length so that I can create the loop. So I will put the two ends one over the other, and at the middle of the cord's length I will create the loop. In order to cover the loop and hide those cords so that the cords are no longer visible in the loop, I will take another bit of cord of about 20 to 30 centimeters, and I will use this bit of cord in order to create the loop here. So let's start making the loop with the brown cord. So at about this point here I will start creating the loop, and I will grab the cords with the clamp. So in order to create the loop, I will take the longer cord, the brown cord, and I will start creating some knots on my cord. So let's see from a bit of a distance. In order to create a loop, I will create a forward half knot and a backward half knot on the entire surface of my loop. So the forward knot is made up of 2 forward half knots, and in order to create these knots I will create the shape of the number 4, and I will put my finger under the gray and the black cord and grab the brown cord and take the brown cord out of this loop here, and I have created a half forward knot. For a normal bracelet, chevron bracelet or a candy stripe bracelet, we will do 2 consecutive forward knots like these to create a full knot. But for the cord I will immediately do a backward knot, which is a knot made in the mirror. So the 4 in the mirror. I will put my finger under the gray cords, grab the brown cord and take it out through the loop, and I have created a backward knot. And now again I will create a forward knot, a backward knot, a forward knot, a backward knot, and so on until I cover the entire length of my loop with these knots. So as you can see, I have covered the part of the loop already with these knots, and I will continue until I have covered the entire surface of my loop with those knots, and then I will show you how to close the loop. And now I have covered the surface of my knot with those of my loop with those knots. Now I will let go of the clamp and let's create the loop. So I have put the ends of my loop this way, and now I will take the brown cord and I will create a loop. So I will take the brown cord, put it over the other cords like this, then put it underneath these cords like this, and I will take the yarn out through this loop and close the knot. Tighten this knot like this, and by tightening this knot I have created this loop. And now let's grab the cords with my clamp and start making the bordered candy stripe bracelet. So I will use the gray cords for the borders. So I will put the 2 border cords on the outside, and they must remain on the outside. Whereas the next cords, the black cords and the brown cords, will form the stripes. Now let's talk a bit about our cords. So the two cords, the gray cords that will form the border of my bracelet, must always remain on the outside. They must never get into the middle of my bracelet. In order to do so, we will do a forward knot and a backward knot on one side, and a backward knot and a forward knot on the other side. By using backward and forward, actually they are half knots because a full knot is made up of two knots of the same type. By using a forward and a back knot, my cord will not move in this direction, it will stay on its place. For the right side, we shall use the knots in reverse. So first we shall use the backward knot and then the forward knot. And I will show you practically how to do this. Whereas for these cords, in order to create the candy stripes, we shall make forward full knots on each of those cords. And we shall get, if we order the cords like this, we shall get thin lines, a thin black line, a thin brown line, a thin black line, and a thin brown line. If we switch the cords like this, then we shall have two black lines, thus a thick black line, and two brown lines, a thicker brown line. So it is your choice whether you want to make the candy stripes thicker or thinner. Let's use the classic model of thin lines and order the cords this way. So black, brown, black, brown. So let's begin. So as I have explained to you, I will make a forward knot, so a 4 like this. I will grab from under the black cord the gray cord, take it out through the loop, and I created the first knot, the forward half knot. Then I will create, because you can see I brought the gray cord on this side, and we do not want the gray cord to move in this direction, we want it to stay here. So in order to bring it back here, we make a backward knot, and the backward knot will move the cord backward, like this. And our cord is again on the outside here. Now let's start making the stripes. I will begin by the black stripe, so I will make one forward half knot and the second forward half knot, which is a full knot, forward knot. Again, I'll make two forward half knots like this, 1 and 2, and on the third cord again I'll make 1 and 2 forward half knots. So I created the first black stripe, and now I brought the black cord from here to here. So through the use of the forward knots, my cord goes in this direction, so it goes forward. Now let's make the border, the gray border. So I will make the backward knot with the gray cord on the black cord. So one backward knot, and now our cord was brought backward here because of the backward knot. So in order to bring the cord back here, I will make the forward knot like this, and I brought the gray cord again on the outside. So my gray cords, which form the border, are on the outside. Let's make the next stripe, brown stripe, by making the forward knots. 1 knot and 2 knots, with the brown cord. Now 1 knot again, 2 knots, 1 knot, 2 knots, forward knots, and again I made a stripe of a brown stripe made up of the full forward knots. I brought my brown cord here, and again we make the border by making a backwards knot, 1 backward knot and a forward knot to bring the gray cord back on the outside, like this. And my gray cord is again on the outside. And now we shall continue doing the same steps until we create the desired length for our bracelet. And then I will show you how to close the bracelet with this loop. So again, let's begin with the border. A forward half knot and a backward half knot. Like this. So let's see from a closer distance. We already have the border here and 2 stripes, a black stripe and a brown stripe. Now let's create another black stripe, 1 knot and another knot. One forward knot, another forward knot, 1 forward knot and another forward knot. And now again I make the border, 1 backward knot and 1 forward knot. Like this. So you can already see the shape of the design of our bracelet, the gray borders and the brown and black stripes inside our bracelet. One and 2 forward knots, 1 and 2 forward knots, 1 and 2 forward knots, and again a backward knot and a forward knot. So as you can see, the bracelet started to take shape, and I will continue making those knots and the borders, the gray borders, so that until we reach the length of the desired length of our bracelet, and then we can make the closure for our bracelet. And now that the bracelet is almost finished, I will make a few more rows, a few more stripes. So I will keep the 2 gray cords on the outside by making on the left a forward knot and then a backward knot, then I will make a brown stripe, with forward knots. So I created the brown stripe, and now again I have the gray cord. I will make a backward knot and then a forward knot. And again my gray cord will be on the outside. And now, in order to close the bracelet, as you can see here, my bracelet is not it's triangular here, it is not rectangular, so we have to fill this space here on this corner with knots. So I will add some more knots here, so I will make one forward knot and a backward knot with the gray cord. Then I will make a black forward knot, so one forward knot and the second, the half knot, to create a full forward knot. And another. And let's make another forward and backward knots with the gray border. One forward knot and a backward knot. And now our border is straight. And now, because I have finished the bracelet itself, I will separate those cords and I will start braiding the cords in order to be able to close the bracelet. So I will create two cords and two braided cords, and I will be able to close my bracelet using those cords as well as the loop. So I will braid. Now that I have finished braiding, I will make a knot. So I created one of those cords. Let's braid the other one as well. And now I will also make a knot here. Like this, so I created both. I have created both cords, and now I will cut the yarn and my two cords for closing the bracelet are also ready. So this is my finished bracelet. And now let's close the bracelet. So this is what the bracelet looks like, and as you can see it has these two borders here, which are created by always keeping the border cords on the sides. They never get to the middle of the bracelet, they always remain on the sides by making a forward and a backward knot, and on the other side, on the right side, a backward and a forward knot.